power of dragon runs through me!
Mother? I don't feel good. My tummy hurts.
I know, Snowpuff. Rest now. We'll leave as soon as the roads are safe.
What's wrong with your daughter?
She's been ill for many years. I'm taking her to Holbreck, where life won't be so difficult for her.
You have a long journey ahead of you.
Yes, but we have to try. She's not strong. She attracts predators.
Since the rise of Jormag, there are those among the Norn, always young, male, and eager to prove themselves, who claim that dragon should be revered among the spirits of the wild. They admire Jormag's strength, its viciousness, and its cruelty. They claim that, by following the path of dragon, a Norn can become as undefeatable as the dragon itself. They look at the tale of Jorah and her brother Svanir, and see him as the first convert to the new spirit. Jorah, who did not accept dragon's blessings, is reviled among their cult, as are all women. Interestingly, Jormag does not show the same bias as its Sons of Svanir followers. It's been known to corrupt all races and all genders. Dragon has no true shaman, no Havroon. Those who follow it do not have the ability to go into the mist on its behalf, nor do they have the gifts Norn expect to see in shamans of the spirits of the wild. A dragon shaman may think he is spiritual, but he falls woefully short of the real thing. These advocates of the dragon teach only corruption. They are given foul blessings. They are changed forever by Jormag. In the end, they too become ice-brewed and serve the beasts. They may call themselves shamans, but most consider them fools, dangerous ones. Still, the promise of power and the challenge to be the one that masters the dragon's gifts continues to lure arrogant, driven young Norn into dragon's service. Norn culture stresses individuality. It demands that a person be judged by their own actions, not by the actions of a group to which they belong. If 3 Sons of Svanir attack a shrine, those individuals are hunted down and punished. That does not mean another Norn who claims to be part of the Sons of Svanir will be punished or treated badly because of the event. In the Norn mindset, he didn't do it, so he isn't to be blamed. This doesn't mean that the Norn ignore a person's allegiances, or that they don't understand Sons of Svanir are dangerous people. It's simply that, as a race, Norn do not judge an individual for the sins of his tribe. A Norn lives and dies by her own legend. Good evening, everyone. Part 119 here. It's late at night right now. I'm in that weird place, I don't know whether you guys get this much, where you're really sleepy and you can feel you've got heavy eyes, but you're restless as well and you're full of energy. And that's how I am right now. So I decided I'd come and record, because, hey, maybe I feel sleepy by the end. I very rarely choose to do this, but it should be fun. We are going to continue along with our courses of action, introducing us to the Orders of Tyria, and slowly transitioning to the Dragon storyline. Now, we got a kind of big decision here. I left as almost a cliffhanger at the end of last episode, and that is what we want to do about this mysterious plan the Dredge have. Do we want to rely on an Order of Whispers spy to give us the information about what they want to do? Or do we want to go with the Priory and learn to break the code? Well, we actually denied the Order of Whispers in a previous option, so this time I'm going to deny them again. Oh, yeah. Didn't expect that, did you guys? I just think that the Priory story here is really fun. Instead of taking you to one area of the world, it's actually like 3 separate maps you go to for this, and different instances and fun things. It's got a bit of that humor in there. It's very fun. So he says, the code we're trying to crack is a complex code, and rather old. I wouldn't have thought the Dredge capable of understanding it, much less creating it. And we say, I'm with you, Prot. Anything that they can code, we can crack. Yeah, so how exactly do blind mole people create codes? This should be interesting. And I guess the decision has been made, so let's see what we can pick up. Again, lots of gear. You'll notice I'm not really equipping the new gear as we gather it right now. I'm mostly just going for skins. But eventually, off screen, when we want to level a lot, I'll be, you know, relying on this stuff to actually be halfway good at the game. Air says things are starting to spiral out of control. That's what she said before. Prot says this will be glorious between our code cracker and you. I'd say the Priory is well on its way to solving this mystery. I certainly hope so. I've not really shown any great capacity for intellect just yet, but I'll lend my hand if I can. Don't get me wrong, the Priory often does have excellent information, but your talents are wasted doing things their way. Maybe, but I have to try. Someone has to get the information before you then spy and sap it out. I guess Thurkill had no real interest at all right now. He says, since I got soldiers to muster, I'll leave you and the scholars and spies for now. Alright, thanks very much, Thurkill. So, yeah, let's move on and see what we got now. I do want to show you guys a couple more new skills as we continue to round out our understanding of the Ranger class. And in particular, its utilities I want to look at today, where we're going to get a whole new selection. We've seen traps, we've seen spirits, except the mysterious elite, which we can now afford, by the way, but I don't want to spend all 9 of our meager 13 points on that. There's a couple of new categories. Signets, well, you guys get the gist of signets. We'll see the Ranger flavor of them eventually. But then there's survivals and shouts. Let's pick up shouts. Now, we can't, unfortunately, afford all of them, all the way up to the elite, but we can afford up to this. So, let's pick these up. And what is there to say about shouts? Well, quite a lot, actually. You've already seen them for the Guardian, and you've already seen them for the Warrior. As if that wasn't enough, with the core release of the game, another class got them too. Even the Ranger got shouts. And the specific idea of Ranger shouts is rather than helping, you know, loads of players around us, they're more about interacting with your pet, shouting commands to your animal companion that's traveling with you. And so in that way, they're actually a bit more directly focused than you find on the other classes. And for that reason, I kind of like them too. So our first objective, as you'll notice here, is actually to remain in Holbrook. Check it out. And we're going to go to a lodge that Ulfric's really spent very little time at whatsoever. That's the Raven Lodge. And I just love how we've basically gone to all 3 throughout the story now at this point. Raven Lodge in a lot of ways is kind of my kind of people. They talk about lore a lot and they think about the world around them, and I don't know, the idea is they're mischievous and cunning to an extent, right? But I certainly feel like I'm a kindred spirit to them. Ulfric, I think, works better as Wolf, but I definitely like this lodge a lot. So let's move on up and see what we got. Maybe some NPCs will say some cool stuff.
No, no, and no. Have you ever seen a reverse geomantic divination produce this effect? I think not.
I don't think you understand my argument at all. Do you even know?
Enough! This prophecy contradicts every predictive model made by the Eternal Alchemy. Therefore, it must be incorrect.
Okay, hold on. Are you a Norn or a human? So there's a human of the Priory speaking to Finn. What prophecy are we talking about?
One's knowledge cannot go beyond one's experience.
To the end of the world and back.
Yes, he does.
Then Raven's favor is upon you.
So here in the background, you'll see we've got the Raven Shaman, okay, and there's a petitioner. At every single lodge, petitioners will come and speak to the shamans, and you can hear little conversations at every single one. I think that's the last one for you guys to actually hear in the series there. Alright, so what does Finn have to say? He says, and the muttering voices will call for his blood. That portion is ripe for misinterpretation.
Sense. Put the blade in all the way and then twist.
Oh, we can ask, wait, what are you doing? He says, chewing on an old prophecy. Don't trouble yourself. It's a Derman Priory matter. Alright, well, in that case, goodbye. And I guess that Priory scholar there doesn't agree with him fully. So as we move in, check it out. There's a baker speaking to Memory Modig. Hello, friend. Read any good books lately? Perhaps one of mine? My name is Memory Modig. I'm a skald. You have books? Yes, that is a tale in and of itself. Last spring, I met a human from Divinity's Reach who convinced me that the best way to spend my tales was to publish them in books. That makes a lot of sense, actually, book writing, Norn. I wonder why we don't see or hear many more of them. I guess most Norn would say it's about the telling of the tale rather than the cold hard facts of the tale, and they might not have as much acknowledgement and appreciation for how deft an author can be with a pen versus sitting around a campfire and singing and, you know, enunciating in the ways you'd like with your voice and your body. What sorts of tales? Well, the legends of our ancestors, of course, and of those new heroes whose great deeds are shared from school to school at moots. So what a waste of time and effort. No one reads books. Oh god, it's funny. Most of what I enjoy in video games is reading, so I think it would be quite rich for me to take this standpoint here. A more permanent record. I love it. The books will survive long after you and I have gone to dust. Besides, I don't have to do anything. My human friends listen to my stories, puts them in books, and sends me gold from time to time. How strange. So she just dictates it. This is amazing. She's got a hell of a gig there, honestly. Okay, so let's speak next to Liliana Black and see what they have to say about this code.
Ah, you must be the Slayer. Scholar Prott said you were interested in this coded letter we discovered.
That's right. The dredge who sent it have been preparing a new weapon for something big. We need to know what so we can stop it.
It's a book cipher. The sender and the recipient both refer to the same published work. Every letter in the code corresponds to a word in the book. This sequence at the end tells you the page and line you want. 029701 means page 297, line 1.
I see. And then we use the numbers to assemble the words in the message. But how do we know what book was used to encode it?
That's the tricky part. It could be anything that's ever been published. That's why this code type is informally known as security by obscurity. The only sure way is to find the sender or recipient and see what book they're using. This letter came from Molenhide. If I were you, I'd start there.
Cool. I love this story step. So I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, I'm going to show my ignorance massively here, but I'm guessing that this story in Guild Wars is actually referencing a real-world technique for code breaking, probably? So, of course, we're not actually going to have to do anything too complicated as players. It will mostly solve itself, as you'll see as we go through. Just before I do leave the lodge, though, I think there's at least one pretty interesting guy for us to speak to.
You're as welcome as fur on a rabbit.
Thank you. Welcome. May Raven's wings carry you forward. Call me Beer Golf. I study the snow owls around here. I watch them hunt at night and gather my notes during the day. Wait, then what have you learned? The owls that nest in Holbrook used to be cunning hunters. Now they're pampered and lazy, eating leftover scraps from the lodges. It's like Holbrook's a cage for them. It's not right. Kind of like the hunters who live here, we say. Yes, it's as hard to dislodge an owl that has had enough to eat and no predators as it is to dislodge a fat, old hunter who has claimed a spot by the fire. Tell me about the shrines here. Raven is both cunning and perceptive. The shrines honor these qualities. You're welcome to stay in communion with the spirit as long as you like. This is not the guy that I thought I wanted to speak to, but maybe I was thinking about a different lodge altogether. But we do have this guy, Alaric Torgan. Maybe it was him. You've actually heard his dialogue. He was talking about King Jarlus's refuge in one of the beginnings or ends of these videos. He says, ah, smell that? That's the smell of adventure. A whole world waiting, begging to be explored. And we say, what brings you to Holbrook? He says, I'm following rumors of an ancient dwarven tomb. They say it's thick with gems. Where is this tomb? Is that excitement I hear? Well, a little competition can't hurt. Rumors point to Croc's Hollow ruins, but ever since the rise of ore, these tombs are treacherous. Croc's Hollow? Where's that? In the northern Shiver Peaks, it's quite a trek, which is why I've decided to wait until the weather improves before I head out. How did you hear about these ruins? Well, a college came across an ancient scroll detailing the Dwarven Kingdom's wealth at that time, including the gems. What leads you to believe that these gemstones are at Croc's Hollow? Well, the scroll says that the gems are kept in the place where the Dwarf King met with the son of a vengeful king. That has to be Prince Rurik, the son of King Adalbern. So they're talking about Guild Wars 1 plot here, really. I didn't quite catch what she said back there. When Prince Rurik led his people across Shiver Peaks to Kryta, he met with King Jarlus Ironhammer at Croc's Hollow. Rurik's people helped the Deldrimor, and in return, the dwarves aided the humans. So this is literally exactly what happened in Guild Wars 1. If you go back and watch that series, maybe when this Guild Wars 2 one finishes, you can go back, retread those steps, and you'll see that meeting of these kings. Was that the only place they met? Oh, yes. After this meeting, Prince Rurik perished, taking his people through the Frost Gate. So it had to be that meeting. I love all these names of the old places that were so relevant in Guild Wars 1 and we don't hear about so much 250 years later. There we go. Okay, so that's the dialogue I wanted. That's the Raven Lodge. Let's move on now. And you'll notice that we're no longer even in Snowdon, though we have a waypoint nearby, where Snowdon meets Gandharan Fields. When you think Gandharan Fields, you probably still think, you know, green fields and Krytons and places, you know, filled with apples and whatnot. But actually, a significant amount of it is still Shiver Peaks and is cold. And in fact, there are dredge there in large numbers. Perhaps these dredge have got something to do with the code we're trying to break right now. So yeah, let's just follow the road down, get over there and see what we got. Oh, actually, en route, of course, we can talk about skills. So let's equip our shouts. Now, first of all, we have a new healing skill now. This is called We Healers 1. It actually never used to be a shout when the game first came out, but now it is. It's a really powerful one too, especially with how it combos some stuff in late game. Check it out. Heal yourself and your pet. You each gain a copy of the other's boons, and every boon in the game is listed there. So, if I were to equip a Warhorn in our offhand, look, we've concluded our story with our Warhorn. We can re-equip one now. When I blast this, it's going to give me Fury, Might, and Swiftness. It's going to give my owl, who's near me, Fury, Might, and Swiftness. 6 stacks each, okay? And then when I use the heal, he's going to send all of that back to me, and I'm going to send all of mine back to him. So we basically double the effect of Call of the Wild by using this heal, okay? And that's just this one skill. Imagine across parties filled with players, tons of people using loads of boons all over the place, and every time you cast this heal, you're like additively swapping them across. It's so powerful, and it scales wildly. Here, I'll just show you. So, Call of the Wild, We Healers 1, and oh look, I have 12 might right now, and he has 12 might instead of just the 6 that we started with. And you know, you run with traits and things that give you even more boons. Very strong. I really like this here. I'll use it for a while. Then, of course, we have our other shouts. Now, like I said, they tend to be directly involving our pet. So, first of all, a very cool skill here as it's currently implemented. I expect that by one day this will be nerfed, okay? And the video you're watching right now might eventually become inaccurate, but we will see, okay? Sick'em. Shout. Your pet rushes at your foe. And then we hit a loading screen, and I can't quite see it. Check it out again, Darren. It's good to be back. I love coming to these familiar places on new characters, man. It feels so good. All right, your pet rushes at your foe, revealing them and dealing increased damage. Okay, so this is at 2,000 range. And here's a funny thing about this shout. When I use this skill, it's also, in the background, going to be like I pressed F1, which is really weird to attack my target. It's like a double functionality here. So from 2,000 range away, I'm going to use Sick'em and just watch. I'm not going to press anything else, but my owl will go flying at him, okay? He's going to start using his skills, and he's going to start eating the wolf. Now, here's the funny thing. When I use Sick'em, it means the wolf can no longer stealth because it applies 6 seconds of reveal, instant activation from a massive range. This is amazing against thieves and other characters that stealth, okay? But also, it makes my pet do more damage. 40% more damage. 40% is an insane modifier. That might be the biggest modifier in the entire game at the moment from a single source. It's wild. 40% damage and 40% movement speed. So it's even faster than swiftness. So just super crazy. And again, when you get way late in the game as a ranger and some of the fancy stuff you can do with the elite specializations, just makes this incredibly powerful. Really, really fun skill. I actually have always loved this skill since way before it was OP. And so now it feels bad, I think, that it will inevitably be nerfed. But the game has kind of adjusted around it in such a way that it's super strong now. So, hey. But yeah, Sick'em, really fun. And you'll see I use this a lot. As a Beastmaster with Sick'em right now, we're kind of like getting closer to the ultimate all-in on our pet build. And that's the kind of stuff I really like. Anyway, so Codebreaker. We did pass a haven here, by the way. Who I think, yeah, we will have actually, this is the right haven. I thought we were a little bit further south for a second. We will have had that scout and everything on our original adventure with Tyrix as he came to the Vigil Keep. Well, that's not our objective here. We're going in to this large dredge stronghold in Gandaren for the mission Codebreaker. Hey, Pro, it's good to see you again, man. He says, to crack the code, we need to find the book the dredge are using as their cipher key. So, remember, we saw they stole a book before, but that wasn't the same book. That was just a book about some big buildings because they seem to be interested in a big building in the mountains. And we don't really know much more about that book right now. Now we're dealing with a different situation to do with the code. So, right, are we sure it's actually here? Well, the message originated here. Odds are it was encoded here. They have no idea we're onto them, so the book could even be in plain sight. Well, let's go find it then. This is a really interesting mission because what we're going to do is wade into kind of a dredge civilization, dredge society, if you will, just a place where they're hanging out in their minds, supposedly casually. They're not here for militaristic reasons necessarily right now. They're not on active alert. And yet, it's not going to feel at all like a city or a casual place, they're all basically just gonna feel like they're ready to attack us instantly. As you can see here, just standing around picking daisies on the field, which is something ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2 was never really trying to do. But yeah, so we're going to move on in, and you'll notice from the green circle, there's a pretty good indication as to where we got to go very fast. This is actually great. We use the Warhorn and the heal combo to give our pet a ton of might, and then we can sick them afterwards. We really are basically just trying to turbocharge the pet right now. Should we do it to Beartooth? Okay. As a wolf, he's a bit slower of an attacker than a bird, but still. All right, so we're going to use this, then we're going to use Sickum, and let's watch him go on in, okay? Look at that, look at that, look at that leap. 1,300 damage on a crit. He friggin' 3-shot the damn thing. That's so cool, man. So yeah, as we round this corner, I think we should have something to kill.
Kill the enemy.
There you go. We got a boss, Spy Master Golosk. So let's check out this next skill, Protect Me. So this is about making our pet do a ton of damage. This is about making our pet take a ton of damage. We gain protection. We break allies out of stuns, including our pet. And then our pet taunts. So taunt is quite a rare condition in the game, but here we get to see it. Right now, Golosk is attacking us. But if I use Protect Me, it's going to shift his aggro over to onto our pet. And instead he'll be definitely fighting that. And we can obviously beat him up. Kill him with a howl. And then finally, guard. Order our pet to guard nearby allies. Our pet takes damage on behalf of those allies. And we gain might whenever our pet receives damage. So, this isn't going to work because we don't really have as many allies around right now. But yeah, it's a ground target. Oh, I think it used to be ground target. Maybe not. Maybe you just guard at a specific place now. But basically, yeah, you trigger this and now our wolf is absorbing health impacts. It's a cool mechanic you see on various places in the game. Honestly, this one's not so strong and I've never really used it in all my years playing the game. But it's a fun idea and I definitely appreciate that much. Well, there's one more shout. That's Search and Rescue. I'll talk about that in a second. But first of all, here's a book. Under the Valley of the Lily. This book is extremely worn. Ink smudges the cover, binding, and pages. Right, well, we can close the book or we can thumb through it. This book is a bodice-ripping tale of adventure and romance featuring Lily Bauer, the young, brash, and beautiful daughter of the cruel, disfigured Senator Alexander Bauer. Okay, so, all right, we got a lewd, dirty novel here, guys. No one would write a code in this kind of subject material. You know what, right? That makes so much sense to me that in real life, I'm sure there has been some kind of interaction between legitimate, real-world governmental spying operations and, like, hiding stuff in, like, porn mags. I'm sure it's a thing because that's the last place you would expect confidential information and important information to be spread around, right? Anyway, you know, people often take advantage of taboo areas of thought to, you know, sneak something in that people otherwise didn't see. I guess I'm getting a bit off topic. Here we go. All right, so this is the book. Fine, continue reading. The story follows Lily as she runs away from home twice, joins a band of savage pirates, and takes on no less than 3 different men and a woman as lovers. Ooh, page 297 is especially dog-eared. Ooh, read page 297. Lily reeled as she gazed into the pirate queen's bottomless umber eyes. Butterflies fluttered in her stomach that had not taken wings since the first time she kissed Victor, Yumin, or Salty Rod. God, this is so good. All right, okay, so this is the page though, right? And we've got to figure out. The decoded message reads what? Vladok, weapon not ready, return to Underberg? Or maybe it reads Vladok, weapon ready, target is blind, wait at Underberg. Or maybe it says Vladok, weapon ready, but target is awake, wait at Moldavia. So where are we trying to go? Underberg or Moldavia? Let's go with the bottom one, Moldavia. This decoded message is nonsense. Better try again. All right. Well, so is the weapon ready and the target blind, or the weapon not ready? Let's say it's ready. That seems pretty scary. Well, that looks like we got it right.
We've cracked it. The weapon is in Underberg, near Lornar's Pass.
Good work. The Priory employs many fine scholars and many bold adventurers, but it's rare we find both in one package. I sincerely hope you're considering joining us full-time. The dragons grow stronger every day, and the Priory needs more members like you.
I'm considering it. But we should get to Underberg. This may be our last chance to stop Vyacheslav's weapon.
So that's it. The weapon is in Underberg. We can close the book and we can leave at this point. So I mentioned that this is a really cool story step because it takes you all over the place. Let's see. In the same story step here, we've been in our home instance in Holbrack. We've been to the Raven Lodge in Holbrack. We've now been here in Gendaran Fields, and it's still not done. We're not on, like, step 4 now of the chapter. This is the same step. We're now going to Underberg, which is actually going to take us along this southern road in Gendaran to Dredge Haunts. I really like this. Not every Norn player actually gets Norn personal story that puts them in Dredgehaunt Cliffs, even though it's the most neighborly map to the, you know, where they start the game. So this is so cool. We actually come here now, and we get to go to a little dredge place that most people would never think twice about. The last skill for us to look at for shouts is called Search and Rescue. Now, this is in some ways one of the strongest things Ranger has available to them in the entire game. But in other ways, it's kind of bad. It just depends on what kind of game type you're in and what you're doing at the time. But this can be very good in raids. This can be very good sometimes in fractals and some of the PvP formats. Let's see. Your pet teleports to a downed ally within range and takes it to you and begins reviving them. We grant regeneration to nearby allies while doing this. It's on a minute cooldown, which is a fairly long one by today's standards. Oh, man, I love this map. I absolutely... Wait, hold on. Aren't we in Lornar's Pass right now? Yeah, oh, I was wrong. Hold on. No. I was saying all of that about Dredge. Duh, I'm such an idiot. No. We're at Lornar's Pass. Yes, okay, of course. And you had the option of coming down this road here. Scratch all of that. It still counts everything I was saying. It's still the, you know, neighborly to Holbrack and whatnot. But, yeah, I guess actually there is not a single Norn story step in Dredgehaunt. Wow. Okay, well, anyway, we're here at Lornar's and we'll be traveling along. Do you know what tipped me off there? I saw this enormous rock here, which always makes me think of Amber Rock from Guild Wars 1, even though it's not. And I always know that that's in Lornar's, so I kind of had a very weird moment with my brain there for a second. Anyway, yeah, back to Search and Rescue. This is really strong, okay? Number one, it teleports someone's body to you, which can save them from deadly AoEs or being really out of position, surrounded by enemies and stuff. It's got a nice range on that, right? Pulling them over. But then your pet starts reviving. When your pet revives, it's as good as you reviving. It's just as quick, you know? It's not like because he's a pet, he revives slower. The devs never coded it that way. He counts as a human. So, in a lot of game types, pets are a little bit worse than us because, you know, their AI holds them back or their stats hold them back, or because they have a more limited set of skills, they only have 4. You know, they are inferior to full players. But if you're in a situation where you need to resurrect someone, all of a sudden, a pet is just as good as a player, because in either situation, all either of you can do is just channel the resurrect and go at a certain speed. They're every bit as good as you. So it's kind of like adding another player to your team when you get your pet to do that resurrection, right? It's like going over the party limit for those specific scenarios, and it's just so strong. That's just the mechanism of them resing on their own, let alone the teleportation, let alone the fact that you also get a little bit of regen out of it, and other, you know, shout-based synergies if you run runes that cleanse on shouts and stuff. So it's just very, very fun. And finally, the last cherry on top, there's actually a ranger trait that just automatically triggers this when you go in for a revive without even needing to put it on your utility skill bars. There's a lesser search and rescue, so you could do both if you want. I mean, you only have one pet out at once, so it's not really the greatest thing to overlap, but truly heavy stuff and a very fun skill. You'll notice there I got blown up by some Grawl. One of the main creatures in the areas as we've been playing so far have been a lot of Grawl. I guess I've just not had a chance to talk about them much. They were really hurting. It's not the last we'll be seeing on the Grawl either, by the way, as you guys will see soon enough. All right, so here we go. Lornar's Pass, not Dredgehaunt. We come to the entrance to the story. I actually kind of want to grab that waypoint up there, so let's do that. It's kind of nice in Lornar's. I noticed this is one of the rare places that it's not snowing while you're in the mountains. It's so often snowing everywhere else. It feels so clean and clear. Anyway, here we go. Code Breaker. And we go to another dredge outpost lingering around Holbrack. Hey, Prot, once again, how's it going, man? This is the place, he says, but it's total chaos inside. There are ice dragon minions everywhere. Oh, well, who's getting deja vu from when we were hunting our horn down? Well, the Ice Dragon has a little bit of a look in, even in this story here. It seemed to be purely about the dredge, but no. There's something going on once again with Jormag, and we will see. But first, we got to kind of break our way in. It looks like these dredge have actually managed to successfully keep themselves alive. There's several, but oh no, a couple more dead dredge here. Dead dredge, ice-brewed wolves. This ratnik managed to survive. They're doing okay, and down there, as you see, we get a little bit deeper. It starts to look kind of hot. They're actually still fighting. Oh, we just got achievement progress here for Master of Overkill. Now, I mentioned that achievement ages ago in the series. It's a really cool thing that I don't think should have an upper limit, but unfortunately it does, so most veterans of the game never really think about it anymore. It's basically an achievement that tracks the most damage you've done in a single hit. And I think what we just did there was hit a rat or something with one of our auto attacks, which meant we did a heap, right? As we're slowly leveling up to 33 now. It becomes more and more damage as we go. Now, I really like that achievement, and I wish it was still, like, triggering regularly. Like, every time I play a PvP game, I'd love to see Master of Overkill come up and, like, see what the most damage I did in a single packet was that match or something. Anyway, so as we move further forwards, it is very important on this mission to clear everything out. It has a tendency to bug if you're rushing too much. And the way I've been playing on the series, you could never consider what rushing is like. Rushing, really, you move through these things very quickly. But I do want to keep it safe and careful, so let's move on over. And, oh, we get a cutscene.
Hold, Slayer. Let's hear what the dredge are saying.
I've had enough of your insolence and your cowardice. The people demand vengeance, and Vyacheslav has provided the means.
But Vyacheslav is insane, can't you see that? His weapon is as dangerous to us as it is to his target. His thirst for revenge will doom us all.
Vyacheslav is a genius, and his weapon will crush the last of the dwarf oppressors. The revolution will finally be complete.
At what cost? The last dwarf is protected by the Dermond Priory. Taking his life is not worth war with one of the most powerful orders in Tyria.
Enough! I declare you an enemy of the people and a traitor to the cause. The penalty is death. Rise, brothers and sisters, and kill this turncoat!
I'd say we've seen enough. Let's save that dissenter. He may be able to help us.
Oh, I agree. Alright, so once again, you'll see this is one of those situations where our pets and stuff can do things in the middle of cutscenes. I actually think that's one of the reasons this stuff can bug, to tell you the truth. But here's Karchev. He's a whole boss fight, which we've basically missed because Bertolf is such a badass. Let's give him the final blow there.
On, you saved my life. I'm grateful.
Beautiful. Oh.
Dragon creatures could hear the weapon's sonics, I'm sure of it. This is not good. Not good at all.
And so we get a level, and I gotta say, guys, to take a second here, there's so much cool stuff was just revealed. So that's what the dredge are up to. They still don't like the dwarves. The last dwarf being within the Dermond Priory. Now, that's a fact we know, but has never really been talked about in any of the story branches we've seen so far. Remember when we joined the Dermond Priory, we saw the dwarf. We saw Ogden standing there. But what was the actual detail behind why he's at the Priory? Well, we just haven't been privy to that information. In this story step, we get it. Not only that, because, and, you know, the resurgence of the feud between the dredge and the dwarves. The dredge angry at the dwarves for having enslaved them so long ago. Which is kind of criminal, by the way, because Ogden at the Priory wasn't even of the faction of dwarves that enslaved them, but the dredge don't realize that. Not only do we get all of that cool story, but also we get some sympathetic dredge again, and we get to see that, you know, the dredge aren't necessarily bad, they're just a bit radicalized at the moment, and they have their dissenters and their free thinkers here, just like this guy, Vladok. How's it going, dudes? Can you give us more details?
Thank you for saving me. I can't believe my own comrades turned on me so viciously.
If you're truly grateful, tell me about Vyacheslav's weapon.
I would not lightly betray the Molotariat. But Vyacheslav is insane. I'll tell you all I know. Vyacheslav calls it the Mark III Sonic Vaporizer. It uses the recorded cries of a captive ice dragon minion, subsonically amplified so that the vibration crushes stone. The last dwarf oppressor, Ogden Stonehealer, is hiding inside the Dermond Priory itself. Generations of enslaved dredge demand his death.
Ogden had nothing to do with oppressing your people. His skills and knowledge make him a valuable member of the Dermond Priory.
And Vyacheslav wants him dead. The problem is the sonic vaporizer attracts dragon minions whenever it's fired.
And Ogden's inside the Derman Priory itself. You were right, Prot. Vyacheslav's target is going to face dragon minions as well as the dredge weapon.
The Priory must be defended. We'll need all the help we can get. Quickly, we must return to Holbrook and confer with the others.
Oh man, this is so cool. I got so much to say here. First, let's just quickly speak to Vladok.
Hello, comrade.
Oh, I guess he doesn't have any extra dialogue. He just says hello. Well, you're free to go, Vladok. Have fun, I suppose. Prot isn't even with us. He's just sprinted off now, concerned about the Priory. I got so much to say. First of all, we're going to go back into that cave because there's a very cool hero challenge there I want to do. But yeah, they've established so much stuff here. First of all, this is really fun for any Guild Wars 1 player because this is the first time Guild Wars 2 really directly was looking at an old character from the original game. Ogden was a huge character from the first. He was actually one of the heroes we could gear and played a major role in the story of Eye of the North. He doesn't play a major role in Guild Wars 2 so far, but just the fact that he's such an old character and has been so important for so long makes him one of the most important people in the long term. So being able to get back to him now in these story sets is amazing. It's bizarre to me and fascinating to me that ArenaNet made it so that only the Norn would get that story of Ogden. And indeed, it is all Norn. You might think, oh, are we only hearing about Ogden and the Derman Priory here because we picked Priory, you know, at the last choice? If I picked Vigil a minute ago, or if I picked Whispers a minute ago, would we be dealing with other people and the Dredge attacking other headquarters? The answer is no. The Dredge and this story is always about the Derman Priory, which is really weird as well, right? Like, this whole act, this whole arc of the story is here to teach people about the three orders. And yet ArenaNet, the developers, made the decision that this arc would actually be all about the Priory. Even if you use this arc to join the Vigil, or use this arc to join the Order of Whispers, and never pick a Priory option ever, even if all of that's true, it will still be a story about the Priory and their headquarters, their giant building in the mountains. Yeah, many of you guys will have seen it coming, right? So that's what they were talking about the whole time. So there's just a lot of stuff that I find really, really curious there. And then lastly, as well, you'll see the devs hinting just a little bit, maybe, about this sonic vaporizer, this sonic weapon that the Dredge are using, and how it's actually tapping into existing Elder Dragon magics to wreak devastation. A lot of, you know, which is kind of a big theme of the game as we move forward, as you look at like Kudu's experiments and how that all comes to a big conclusion in the Crucible of Eternity and so on. So you can see that, you know, they touch on these themes even way back here. Really fun, and wow, they get through so much meaty stuff right there. Jesus. So the other thing I want to do is show you guys this Dwarven relic. Which was right where we were standing a second ago in the story, but you kind of have to come back to get access to it later. It's guarded by this extremely tanky Dredge here. In fact, I have no idea why he's so tanky right now. It's kind of nuts, actually. Let's take out his friend here. So we can open this up, and this is a cool hero challenge in that it's defended by a tanky mob. Oh, come on, really? Yeah, let's get the owl to kill that guy. But it's actually... there you see a very interesting mechanic, by the way, in that I don't formally have a target on that enemy based on the UI, but target-only abilities like Hunter's Call still work. Anyway, that's a really obscure thing. Yeah, basically, you come back and you kill the dangerous mob, but that's not enough. You actually now need to learn a little bit about the world. And so this is great. I think that the devs should have done this more, in that we actually force our players to read some text and get more in tune with what the product's talking about, rather than just spamming F on things and leaving. So anyway, here, what would you like to learn about the dwarves, we can say? And this is, you know, Dredge confiscated stuff. In this area of the world, there have been two dwarven races. There are the Delgamore and the Stone Summit. Many believe they were among the earliest races in Tyria, but now they're all dead. All dead? Well, actually, I don't know why this is phrased as though we're having a conversation with an empty box, but there you go. Well, actually, there's a bit of debate about that and plenty of rumors. What I do know for certain is that the grand majority died to save the world from the Great Destroyer. Wait, was this originally dialogue that something was supposed to be speaking to us, and now it got changed into a box and it makes no sense? Anyway, the majority died to save the world from the Great Destroyer. These are the events of Eye of the North that Ogden was directly involved in. They sacrificed themselves? Yes. Tyria was on the verge of annihilation by the Great Destroyer, but the dwarves had a ritual. The ritual worked, but it exacted a severe price, and the dwarves paid it. So yeah, we get all this cool lore about the dwarves in this little area of the world here. Right before we're going to do a story step, a main story step that actually deals with Ogden. Oh, what a shocker that we'll finally get one. Let's go speak with our reps and see what's going on. Sounds like there's a big attack on the Priory going on, so even Ogden removed, this is a pretty intense story step. This time it looks like Air's the one who wants to speak, who's been watching this entire time.
We've got to act quickly. Vyacheslav is targeting the Derman Priory itself in an effort to kill Ogden's Stonehealer. What's worse, the weapon's sonic beam is based on the cries of dragon minions. The sound it makes will attract every dragon minion in the region.
Sounds simple enough. We know where they're going. We can meet them head-on and destroy the weapon before they fire it. That's how the Vigil handles those who kill our soldiers and trifle with dragons. Vyacheslav and all who stand with him must die.
I agree. But the Order of Whispers has a subtler solution. The Slayer and I will use stealth magic to get close to Vyacheslav. We can kill him without engaging all the dredge forces. Without their leader, they'll collapse into chaos.
Excuse me. The Priory's main facility is entirely capable of defending itself. We have access to ancient and powerful magic. Specifically, we have a silencing ritual that will completely baffle Vyacheslav's sonic weapon. No sound, no attack, and no lured dragon minions.
Tough choices, Slayer, but clear ones. But before you make your decision, you should understand how important this choice is. Each of the orders would be honored to have you join. If you agree, the order you choose to help now will accept you into its ranks permanently. That will put you in a position to join their fight against the Elder Dragons. I, for one, can think of no better path for a hero to take.
Agreed. I'm ready to confront the most dangerous threat Tyria has ever faced. And I'll need allies to do it. Give me a moment to consider, and then I'll choose.
So you'll see a bit of character development for us there. We're ready to take on the greatest threat. I guess the idea is now it's solidified in our mind that we want to take out the Elder Dragons. I'm not sure how that's truly been expressed through the non-story, but there you go. Also, another little thing about that cutscene. Most of the time through this series, the devs have been messing up with audio levels, and some NPCs sound really quiet and then all of a sudden really loud and stuff. And in 99% of those occasions, I've manually gone back and edited to try and make everything sound solid. Sometimes I've missed them, and you guys might have picked that up, and you'll say, oh, this is a really quiet sounding NPC at this point. But here, I'm going to deliberately leave one in that cutscene there. You should have heard it. That's how the game is, as is. It's just the same character, the same dialogue, but one sentence is really quiet, and then the next one is super loud for some reason. But okay, so Air
is long. I wish you well.
We can now imagine would have that dialogue we read at the end of the first instance of this arc, where she was talking about joining an order. And indeed, we get that choice. So who do we want to go with? The Order of Whispers and their kind of sneakiness? Well, does that really fit the Norn? Maybe we can find some ways to justify it. The Derman Priory, we certainly have spent a lot of time with Prot, and I have to say, I've wanted to mention this every time, I really like Prot's face. He reminds me of a dwarf a lot for some reason, except obviously huge. Or what about the Vigil? Now, I don't know about you guys, but
Some
I think...
must fight, so that all may be free.
Honestly, the Vigil is a really cool choice. And I'll give you one even better. The Vigil actually has, in my opinion, some of the best dialogue in this upcoming mission too. The mission we're about to play is very similar no matter who you pick here. The devs kind of cop out a bit. One of them's a fair bit different than the others, but most of the dialogue is exactly the same in all of them. There's some slight variations. I think the Vigil is the coolest way to go, and you know what that means as well. If we join the Vigil, we'll soon be hanging out with a great old buddy, Forgul, a Norn as well. What a combo that'll be. So, think of it, Slayer. The shouts of battle, the roar of victory. You'd be a natural fit for the Vigil. Come, join us. You know what? I think we really would. Tell me more about the Vigil, though. Our mission is to protect the innocent by crushing threats with overwhelming force. We don't do subtle. We don't do nuance. We strike hard. We strike fast. We get results. Definitely. A Wolfborn Norn, I can see this being a good fit. I do love a good brawl, and the Vigil seems most likely to save Tyria. I mean, you guys have an army. I'm in.
Excellent choice, Slayer. I'm glad to have you. You will provide the skill and strength we need to end the dredge threat once and for all.
You honor me. Let me ready my weapon and I will meet you at the Priory.
where the dredge and their weapon will fall. This is how the vigil gets results, by confronting evil head-on with overwhelming force. And after we save those Priory eggheads, we take the fight to the Elder Dragons themselves.
You've chosen well, Slayer. I look forward to seeing the great things you will do with the Vigil. I am proud to have found the hero Tyria needs. I will join you for the defense of the Priory. Until then and forever after, may the spirits of the wild walk with you.
Hey, so we get one last big adventure with Air. That's wonderful. It's been a little while, actually. Through this entire arc, we haven't got to see her much. Now, these are some juicy weapons here. Really nice, higher level weapons. Let's go. We haven't seen Greatsword for a long time. And I'm going to pick it up because if we're going like a whole Beast Mastery thing, Greatsword, don't forget, let's equip the really good one, has this skill here, Maul, which is to give plus 50% extra damage to our pet's next attack. So we can get 50% damage here. We've put attack of opportunity on our bird. On top of Sikkim, on top of the might we can give and stuff, this can really ruin. Now, the thing is, the Owl's F2 is a double hit, so we don't truly massively perk it up. But, you know, there's an enormous number of pets. Let me just show you the grid again. One of these out here will have a really good opening strike that you can do that combo on and have a lot of fun with. But yeah, it'll be great to see you, Air. I mean, I don't like this whole talk that you're a bit of a has-been or whatever. You don't realize you've got so much to offer the world. Maybe this big fight will reinvigorate you as we're coming up to it now. Also, some of the dialogue in that cutscene a second ago was really deceptive. Thurkill said, "Oh, I'm happy to end the dredge threat for once and for all." And obviously, we're not really going to end the dredge threat. I don't know why the devs felt they needed to go that far with the dialogue. They could have been clear, look, you're going to save the Priory. That's a pretty heroic thing anyway. You don't need to up the ante and the stakes even further. You made the right choice. Research and guile won't defeat the dragons. They need to be crushed, broken, utterly destroyed. With your help, the Vigil can begin its most important campaign. Now, as you guys listen to this, I really want you to be thinking about how the game might end, okay? Because obviously we've seen so many paths and branches now. We know what the point that they're all leading to. The assault on the city of Ura. It is not far away. And what will happen there? Are we actually going to beat a dragon? And if so, is this true? That they just need to be crushed, broken, and destroyed? Or will Research and Guile have a role to play?
Knowledge is the greatest treasure.
A shame you won't be joining us, says Prot. You had the potential to reach our highest ranks. Still, I suppose you follow your own path. This is a really exciting line to me as well. It kind of hints at a version of the game where joining the orders as guilds were almost like side quests that you could climb as high as you dared to, and maybe it was a challenge to get really high, but of course we know it's main story and you're destined to rise through their ranks. Well, I can't fault your dedication or your guts, your decision-making skills, however, sorry, I'm just not used to rejection. There are no hard feelings, Slayer. Good luck. Well, you've been rejected consistently, Ifwin, through this. We haven't done a single quest with you, and I'm so sorry. Alright, so, yes, let's head on to the Dermot Priory, and like I said, here we've actually picked Vigil, but we're coming out of it in the Priory anyway. Kind of a curious one. We got a bit of a walk as well, actually. So it's going to be through Lorna's Pass, a beautiful map. But at the end of the day, you've seen it already. So let's just skip our way there. Well, here we are. I will never get over this view. Look at that. It's insane. And it's so good as well because the music transitions to the Priory track right as you walk across this bridge. So this is Priory Bridge, which is actually the location majorly of this instance. Before we head on in, I do want to remind you all of a sneaky little thing near the Priory, which is just down here. This point of interest, this weird little steading on the outside. It's called Ogden's Quarters. So we're already hearing about Ogden as a Norn player when we come here for the first time. And it makes perfect sense that Ogden's Quarters would be there. For everyone else, you kind of just scratch your head and wonder. Alright, so our story, Assault on the Hill. Well, as you can see, the bridge we just crossed, let's assume, you know, some time's passed, maybe it's late that evening. The dredge are mustering, ready to assault, and we're here to defend it. A horde of Norn. Oh, God, that would be not very good to look at, I think, if I were a dredge. You'll see even we got a ton of Vigil Crusaders as well now. So, hey, Air, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you here.
Oh, she said it's good to see me too. You know, nearly every time I see her, I say it's good to see you. And finally, she's reflected the sentiments. I thought I'd done all I could for Tyria, she says. You've taught me that any blade, even reforged, can make a difference. That could be you. You could be the reforged blade. and we can say to her, Snaf's death was a tragedy, but that doesn't mean an end to his legend or to yours. So this is a really weird line because we've not actually had a conversation with Air about Snaf. And this ties into that whole complicated mess that I showed you all, particularly with Logan and the human story, where the writers didn't ever find a proper moment that they knew they wanted the player base to learn about the history of this adventuring band. And in some ways they settle on it being in Sorry's Embrace in that cutscene. In some ways they settle on it in other areas. It was just a mess that never got done properly in the end. So I guess we can just pretend here that Ulfric knows about it because, you know, it's a great story of the Norn, the failed attack on Kralkatorrik. And obviously we've walked to her homestead enough time and seen that statue of Snaf there enough time. We're smart enough to put 2 and 2 together, and all of a sudden this very incisive comment comes out of nowhere from us. And I like it in that sense, but that's clearly not really what was going on when this was written. But hey, Snaf's death was a tragedy, but that doesn't mean an end to his legend or to yours. Snaf would have said something similar. He would have liked you. I would have liked him too, we say. And she's left to think. Think, Air, think! Return to the stage. You can get your friends together. What if you get an invite from someone like, I don't know, Keith, and tells you to go Lion's Arch soon? Will you accept? Will you? Check it out here as well, by the way. Loranthir.
Some must fight so that all may be free.
Puny as he looks. Remember, Sylvari are fairly diminutive even by human standards. Not as small as a Sur, obviously. But so when you get him next to a Norn, it's really exaggerated. He's obviously downhill a little bit too. He says, glad to have you with us, recruit. I'm Loranthir of the Wild, second in command of the Vigil. You could also say that I'm its co-founder. Oh yeah, of course, right. We are a recruit. We're still at the bottom of the pecking order right now. What do you mean? How are you its co-founder? He says, when General Soulkeeper lost her warband to the Crystal Dragon, I was the one who convinced her to turn her quest for vengeance into a worldwide campaign against all the Elder Dragons. Impressive. I look forward to fighting beside you. Loranthir is badass. He's one of my favorite characters of the whole story, honestly. Who else we got? Well, we got Scholar Prop. I trust you, Slayer, but your weapon arm has defeated your good sense. This may work, but all it shows is that might makes right. So Prop we didn't choose, but he's still in the instance anyway because, you know, we're defending his place. We don't see if win here, but we do with him. I like the kind of cohesiveness of this, at least for this arc. Perhaps when you're not being shot at by a sonic vaporizer, you'll reconsider. Ha, if that weren't for our research, you wouldn't know anything about that weapon. Okay, let's save the innocents at risk and worry about the weapons later. And then lastly, we even see Winnet. Winnet Fairhaired gets a little bit of looking. She says, so you're the Vigil's new rising star. Welcome. I wish Proc could have convinced you to join us, but I'm glad you're here to help defend our headquarters. Thank you. No thanks is necessary. It's my sworn duty. Already taking our duty on board. Look, force into the dignity option there. Lovely. Not only that, right, you've got Air, and Garm usually is standing next to her. The devs actually coded Garm this time to be over here next to a much more interesting character, Ogden.
Welcome to the Vigil. The dredge are poised to attack the Dermond Priory, but we are poised to attack them. This will be glorious.
I'm ready. Where do we begin?
On top of the hill. They fortified the weapons array location, but they won't stop our charge. Not with you and Air Stagulkin alongside us.
I'm glad you're with us, Air. You've stood by me for so long, it's only fitting that we join forces one last time.
Ogden is an old friend. And thanks to you, I've been reminded that no matter how bad things seem, heroes don't give up on their friends. I will stay behind to guard Ogden while you and the Vigil take the lead. Speaking of my old friend...
Air, Thurkill. And you must be the Slayer of Isormir. I am Ogden Stonehealer. Thank you for defending the Priory and my life.
It's time. When we hit that dredge hill, we hit it hard and fast. If we don't shut down the sonic vaporizer quickly, Jormag's ice minions will overrun us and the Priory. Vyacheslav, prepare for death! For our fallen comrades, for the Priory, and for Tyria itself, you will fall!
I really love how well this is constructed. I feel pretty amped.
Those dredge aren't wasting any time. We'll be overwhelmed by dragon minions if we don't turn off that weapon. Rise up, my friends! For Tyria, and for the Vigil!
Oh, it really does feel like a big attack. They've even got that sense that there's like a time limit on it or we'll get overwhelmed.
Ogden Stonehealer must die! All enemies of the revolution must die!
Obviously, that time is not real. It never is with the game. We'll never actually get in trouble. And so, yeah, Ogden moves forward. The fight has begun. I'll try and keep this quick. First of all, Garm was here. Ogden was near his home. And so, yeah, Ogden appeared in the side-by-side. Considering how bad the side-by-side cutscenes are with weird assets, you know, like the lesser races and stuff, I'm really happy that Ogden's isn't too bad in side-by-side. And Ogden is a really weird asset, okay? He is literally, when the game came out, the only dwarf, okay? He looks stony, he's got a different, like, posture and size and everything, and yet he works. Even his lip sync works in the side-by-side. So I'm really happy for that. Check out his face here on the UI as well. So I really, really enjoy hanging around him just because it's an example, a rare example of the devs making something very special for a very specific little instance that you'll easily miss out on, and, you know, I want to appreciate that. Anyway, so while I disapprove of vigil methods, he says, I am grateful for their dedicated assistance. You disapprove of vigil? That's interesting. How did you outlive the rest of your kind, we ask? He says, I didn't. The few survivors now battle servants of the Elder Dragon Primordus deep underground. I alone remain above to tell the tale. Look at this, guys. Pause the video. Think about this. There is such a big community misconception and lack of understanding about the dwarves, okay? People think that the dwarves are all gone and that he is the last, but the game itself is saying it. He himself is saying it here. There are still tons of dwarves. They are underground. Well, he says the few survivors, so maybe they are less than obviously we saw they were in Guild Wars 1. But there's a real sense that there's a battle going on, and at any point in the future, a ton of them could make themselves relevant to us. I look forward to hearing more about it. There's such a powerful thing here, guys. We're looking not only at an old friend from the original game, but also one of the ancient races. A rare interaction on that level, too. But, okay, so the defense. Let's come on over. You know, I feel like Longbow would be really good here as well, because we could use the Longbow 5. Interestingly, we got knocked back when we tried to walk in. We can use this arrow cart to siege them over there if we've got the range. But honestly, it looks like our allies have done super well. This entire mission is just fighting along this bridge. Now, there's a lot of really badass story stuff going on, but it is just going along the bridge. So here, look, there's downed allies, right? So I'm going to use search and rescue. And what our pet's going to do is run over there, or should go running over there, and should start rezzing them. Maybe that's not working for some reason. In fact, it's totally not working. What did I do wrong? Your pet teleports a down ally within range. Oh, I guess I was too far away when I triggered it. That's pretty silly of me. Oh, well. Well, look, let's cleave out more of these. Let's see our big damage combo as well, right? Might, double the might, great sword 2, sick'em, F2. Oh, and we eat his face off. Lovely. Yeah, I love the combos. Also, finally as well, on this big epic run across the bridge, let's see our last totem become the Snow Leopard. So Snow Leopard gets Frenzy for an auto attack, which is very cool. Growl, which weakens people. Weakness is a very potent condition, so that's already very good. You get Pounce, which is a leap. I'll show you. So here's the Growl, and here's the leap. And then you get Dash, which is the 5 on bear form, you remember. It goes just as far, and then finally Prowl. Use Snow Leopard's Grace to be unseen by your foes. So I press the skill 5, and we actually get stealthed here, but it's kind of a different effect to stealth. It's called Prowl, and it says Prowling there. It's almost like the devs had plans to, you know, plug Prowl as an effect into more areas of Guild Wars 2, but then never did in the end. So the only place you get Prowl from, you know, from regular combat skills is becoming the Snow Leopard. What it means, I think, is that it won't stack duration with other stealth effects, which is maybe a bit unfortunate. But you'll notice by having a big charge and by having a stealth and having okay-ish damage on there, it's a really cool totem, probably the best, in that you can stealth and then sprint at someone with massive mobility in a way that they're not expecting. Again, especially if you do that on a class that otherwise has no stealth, like an elementalist or a warrior. You can be appearing on the other side of a hill to someone, all of a sudden trigger your totem, and then you're next to them, right? Because you stealthed and charged at them while they couldn't even see. And that's what's so fun about that, and I really enjoy it. Here our owl's getting a bit low, so let's go back to Bertolf, and the dredge are actually hitting us really hard, so I'm going to have to... Oh no, I messed my combo up! Oh, we're going to have to run away here. These barricades you might actually be able to break, I'm not entirely sure. Actually, I really do want longbow here, actually, guys. So let's roll through there, roll back, break combat. Let's grab our longbow. This is the longbow of air, one of the stronger ones we got recently. And now let's pull back through. Hopefully we can do the damage. The problem is, with all of our allies down, what's essentially happening is we're getting overwhelmed. if I'd been quicker to assist them in the fight, we probably wouldn't be in such a struggle. Here, so let's try search and rescue like so. So something glowed. Does it just not work very well on NPCs? Maybe it worked there, actually. Maybe we did just get a res. Lorantha is still valiantly fighting. Look, and they're all sort of helping each other up now. We got a couple of dredge mortars, but none of the dredge are alive yet to man them. And at the edge of the bridge, we do find their next prototype, their next creation, the thing that threatens to bring all of the Elder Dragons in the area forwards. Not looking good. So, that's enough reses, I think, for now. Let's take out the mortars. And I'm going to use barrage to cleave absolutely everyone over there. Glorious. We can go back to the owl, sick 'em. Oh my god, I love chunking them down. It's so good. And there we go. We fought our way to the big spot, the big time.
The vigil? Here? Curse you! You will not protect the life of the oppressor, Dwarf.
Ogden's not the only one at risk, you fool. Every time you fire that weapon, you bring dragon minions down on you and everyone around you.
What of it? Vengeance demands his death. I would kill thousands and die myself to avenge my people.
If you care about your people, you'll stop this. Fire that weapon and more dredge will die. This is your last warning.
The oppressor must die. Every moment Ogden Stonehealer draws breath is an insult to those he enslaved. Kill them, comrades!
He didn't even enslave you! It was the Stone Summit! Oh, the pain of it all. Alright, so we get to move in. I really want to show you guys the Sonic Vaporizer here. The actual objective right now is to destroy this.
You cannot stop us! The revolution will have its vengeance! Why do you protect the oppressors who enslaved us? No! I can't die while the oppressor Dwarf still lives!
But the idea is we're meant to go through Vyacheslav, right? So we'll cleave him down. Look at all of the enemies here. My god. We'll put our pet directly on the Vaporizer. It's a really cool asset with interesting sort of model on it. And down it goes. The day is pretty much saved. At the cost of a lot of dredge lives.
You made all the difference, Slayer. Without you, those dragon minions would have swarmed the Priory.
Few people in Tyria truly understand how great a threat the Elder Dragons are to all of us.
But we who do are preparing to stop them. It's been a pleasure fighting alongside you, Slayer. But now you're expected in Lion's Arch. A Vigil mentor has been assigned to you and will be standing by. They'll help you settle in and adjust to your new duties.
Tyria needs every hero it can find to turn them back.
I am also headed for Lion's Arch. I'm meeting one of my former comrades from Destiny's Edge. We used to fight dragons together.
I've heard of them. In Holbrecht, they still sing songs of their brave deeds. You took down a dragon lieutenant together, didn't you?
In simpler times, yes. We disbanded. But now I see that I have more to do. You helped teach me that, and I will always be grateful.
After all you've taught me, it's only fair that I return the favor. Farewell, Heir. I hope to see you again someday.
Oh, so again, there's so much to say. First of all, obviously it's a bit of a mess, right? Because we started this instance knowingly talking to her about Snaff and ended the instance as though we'd never talked about Destiny's Edge at all. There's an interesting line in there as well where Heir says, not everybody understands how important the Elder Dragon threat is. Now, if you play a human, or if you play a Char, then that's a big, easy theme to see, that people are preoccupied with domestic issues. But for the Norn, at no point through any of the 3 opening chapters was there ever a discussion really tabled about the Norn's individualistic nature versus the global threat of the Elder Dragons and how you reconcile the two. That was a big part of what the game could have been about and the story it could have been telling, which leaves that one sentence from Heir at the end there feeling really limp to me. It's like, okay, you've just kind of thrown that in. Here we get a mastery point, and the game just said you got your first mastery point. Masteries are abilities that can be trained by level 80 characters with access to expansion content. So I actually show you the UI here. This is quite special. You'll see we have 0 masteries. There's nothing going on here because they can only be trained at level 80. So it's a very weird decision for the devs now that the mastery system's in the game to give us mastery points here. but I guess it will give players one opportunity to look at this. This is really end game content, and again, that feels out of sequence and broken and just poorly implemented to me. But hey. Alright, so Air, thank you once again. She says the dredge are defeated, their weapon destroyed. This is only the first challenge you will face in the world beyond Holbrag. By the way, did we actually see any dragon minions? Because the dialogue talked about some, and I don't think we saw any. Maybe if I was slow enough, they would have come. Now we must go to Lion's Arch. What do you think of LA? A city of good fortune and of heroes. We will find our future there, and I will confront my past with Destiny's Edge. Then we will see if Tyria can truly be saved. So look at all this work that Kaith does by sending these messages out. Tell me more about Destiny's Edge. We were a deadly team. Human, Char, Sylvari, Norn, Asura. Fighting as a unit. In the arena or in the wild, we almost always won. Almost. What happened? Why aren't you together anymore? We lost a key member. In the aftermath, we simply stopped being a team. We fell apart. Made choices the others couldn't understand. Blamed each other. I hope you're able to reconcile for our sakes. And what I want you guys to be thinking about right now as you hear Air speak here is the road they will go on throughout Guild Wars 2 that leads them sans Zodja. Remember, let's be very clear about this. Zodja does not rejoin the group, as we've seen in the timeline, right? But they have, in large, regrouped and are gonna be at the gates of Ara. It's very cool. I love seeing that whole long line. You know, what was it the dev said? The personal story is our story. The open world is the story of the world. The dungeons are the story of Destiny's Edge. And, you know, we really get to see that come forward. This is the leader of Destiny's Edge, and we see how now she ends up at LA. Eventually hatches the plan with Magdea and so on. So Thurkill, thanks so much, man. You've given me a mentor, you said? Good luck in Lion's Arch. Your mentor is an accomplished veteran. I'm sure he'll teach you the ropes. Well, teach me more about him. He's a battle-hardened veteran, a Norn like us. He's even rougher than I am, but he's the best out there at training new recruits. Even rougher, thank you. Well, I look forward to meeting him. Thanks for all your help, Thurkill. We got Loranthia. She says, this was an excellent start to your vigil career. Protecting innocents from a dragon-related threat while also crushing that threat. It's what we do, and we'll keep doing it until the Elder Dragons fall. Hell yeah, they don't even respond. So on that really epic note, I would instantly leave the instance now. But running all the way back, we do get Ogden, who is kind of the star of the instance for me, even though he doesn't interact much. And I just want to see if his dialogue's updated. I think it should have. I guess Winnet's back here as well, and Prot. Prot doesn't even want to speak to us anymore. I'm so sorry, Prot. I'm sorry I never chose you. Fairhead says, since you saved us, we don't mind doing the cleanup, especially since it gives the Priory top researchers a chance to study some of these dredge weapons. Well, I hope your research is as successful as our battle. And here Ogden says, look at how this is weirdly reversed, guys. He says, you've averted a catastrophe and saved the Priory. I've seen scores of heroes in my day, and I'd wager your name will soon be among them. Now that we got a moment, tell me about your kind. Certainly. The least I can do is tell you about my people since you saved my life. Ask away. I'd heard that the dwarves were extinct. Are there many left? As a race of flesh and blood, we became extinct. Over 200 years ago, we made a great sacrifice to defeat the destroyers, servants of the Elder Dragon Primordus. I'd like to hear more about that. Our king protected us with a ritual. Unfortunately, it turned us to stone. Immortal, but not invulnerable. It strengthened our spirits, and the few survivors left fight far below the ground. What do they do at the Priory? The Priory desires knowledge. I'm a living relic of the past, valuable to them in their quest to discover more about the Elder Dragons. I mean, very valuable. He's not just a relic of 250 years ago. He is a member species of one of the ancient races, who hopefully still know a lot. Where do we get the name Zaitan from? Remember, guys, the very start of episode 1, we're watching a trailer of this series. We're watching the opening trailer for Guild Wars 2, and it begins with the line that the dwarves called these things Zaitan, right? The Tome of the Rubicon. Information about the Elder Dragons came from the dwarves. And here Ogden is assisting the Priory in the modern days to fight them. That's how cool this guy is. And he just vanishes from the story now. Here we go with the last option. What happened to make the dredge hate you so much? We kept them as slaves, but we've long regretted this choice. After the ritual, we left the creatures behind to find their own way. He says we here. He speaks collectively as a dwarf and kind of glosses over the fact that he was a member of a faction that never agreed with that, which is a very honourable thing for him to do, and only Guild Wars 1 players would detect there. But yeah, so all this cool stuff about Ogden, and he just disappears now. He's not a member of the story after this point, only for the Norn characters here, so enjoy it until the end of the game, which we are fast approaching. Now, that doesn't mean we'll be there straight away. There is one more bold adventure for Ulfric to go on. He's obviously going to go to Lion's Arch now and see the Vigil story as we know how things will play out. But there is something in his future that still remains somewhat undocumented. And I'll see you guys for that adventure, whatever it may be. tomorrow.
What brought you to Snowdrift? You don't look suited for cold weather.
No, ma'am. I'm from Gendaran Fields, to the west. I wanted to see the world, so I ran away from my father's farm.
I see. And have you seen enough of the world yet? In the short time I've been journeying, I've seen much, but it has only made me want more.